Okay, we are good to go. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Office of Tax Appeals. This is the hearing and appeal of Bourne, OTA, case number 24031515752. Thank you to all of the participants for making it here today. We are not on the record yet. Before I go on the record, I have a couple of announcements and housekeeping items I'd like to go over first. So first, my name is Cheryl Aiken. I am the administrative law judge who will be deciding this appeal. Also present is our stenographer, Ms. Rodriguez, who will be reporting this hearing verbatim. To ensure we have an accurate record, I ask that everyone speaks clearly and loudly. When needed, Ms. Rodriguez will stop the hearing process and ask for clarification. Please speak one at a time. Do not speak over each other. And after the hearing, Ms. Rodriguez will produce the official hearing transcript, which will be available on the Office of Tax Appeals website. As a reminder, the hearing transcript and video recording of the hearing are part of the public record. I believe we covered it right before we started, but to speak, please remember to unmute your microphone and to remute it when you are finished speaking to avoid background noise and feedback. And finally, please remember that these proceedings are being broadcast live on OTA's YouTube channel, and any information shared during the hearing may be heard and are viewed by the public. As such, I ask that both parties be mindful of the information that is being shared and to not disclose personal information such as addresses, phone numbers, social security numbers, and the like. With that, I think we are ready to go on the record. Are you ready? Okay. We are opening the record in appeal of Bourne, OTA case number 240315752. This matter is being held before the Office of Tax Appeals in Sacramento, California. Today's date is Tuesday, December 17th, 2024, and the time is approximately 9:49 a.m. Again, my name is Cheryl Aiken. I am the administrative law judge who will be deciding this appeal. This case is being heard by a single administrative law judge under the Office of Tax Appeals Small Case Program. As a reminder, the Office of Tax Appeals is not a court. It is an independent appeals body. The office is staffed by tax experts and is independent of the state's tax agencies, including the Franchise Tax Board. Because Office of Tax Appeals is separate and independent from the Franchise Tax Board, the only information I have and will consider in this appeal is the argument and evidence that has been submitted to the Office of Tax Appeals by the parties and the information that is presented here today. I have read all the briefs and the exhibits, and I will remind everyone that as the administrative law judge in this case, I do not engage in ex parte communication with either party. With that, let me please have the parties introduce themselves for the record, starting with appellant.
Michael Walsh.
Thank you. And Franchise Tax Board?
This is Vivian Ho and my co-counsel Maria Brosterhouse for the Franchise Tax Board.
Okay, thank you. As confirmed in the pre-hearing conference minutes and orders, which followed that pre-hearing conference, the issue to be decided in this appeal is whether appellant's claim for refund for the 2017 tax year is barred by the statute of limitations. I just wanted to verify that this is consistent with the parties' understandings. I'll start with you, Mr. Walsh.
Correct.
Okay.
That's the understanding, yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. And Franchise Tax Board?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'd like to quickly move on to the evidence in this appeal. Appellant submitted 4 exhibits that were labeled as Appellant's Exhibits 1 through 4. At the pre-hearing conference, FTB indicated that they did not have any objections to these exhibits. So Appellant's Exhibits 1 through 4 are now admitted into the evidentiary record without objection. Franchise Tax Board submitted 9 exhibits, which it labeled as Franchise Tax Board's Exhibits A through I. Again, at the pre-hearing conference, appellant indicated that he did not have any objection to these exhibits, and FTB's Exhibits A through I are now admitted into the evidentiary record without objection. All right. Is there any additional evidence here today that needs to be addressed before we move on?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Walsh. And Ms. Ho?
Nothing from the Franchise Tax Board. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Finally, before we begin, I'd quickly like to review today's proceedings. So it is my understanding, Mr. Walsh, that you plan to be sworn in?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So what I'll do when it's time for your presentation, I'll just swear you at the beginning so that we can consider any of your statements you may make as evidence. As indicated in my minutes and orders, you will have 15 minutes for your presentation, after which FTB will have an opportunity to ask any clarifying questions they may have. I will then ask any questions I have before turning it over to Franchise Tax Board for their presentation. Franchise Tax Board has 10 minutes for its presentation, after which I will ask any questions I have of Franchise Tax Board before turning it back to you, Mr. Walsh, for a final closing or rebuttal statement for 5 minutes. So that's how these proceedings will run. Are there any questions before I hand it over for presentations?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Mr. Walsh, if you are ready, I can swear you in. Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, great. You have 15 minutes and may begin when you're ready.
This meeting today is to discuss the taxes of 2017 that were paid on behalf of Teresa Bourne and should be refunded. I want to start by telling you a bit about Teresa Bourne. Teresa Bourne was my aunt and never married, and I was actively involved throughout my life, and for those reasons, my brother Ed Walsh and myself were honored to act on her behalf per the instructions of her trust when she was no longer able to make decisions due to the effects of a debilitating stroke in 2016. The capacity letter from her primary care, Dr. Swan, declaring her inability to make decisions is one of the exhibits. At that time in 2016, my mother passed away in the end of February. My wife was diagnosed with breast cancer, requiring surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. My daughter was attending college, my son in high school, and I was working full-time as a pharmacist for the California Poison Control Center in Sacramento. My brother Ed Walsh was going through a difficult divorce. At that point, our relationship between my brother and I was strained. At the same time, it was clear Teresa Bourne was going to need 24-hour care. So we moved Teresa Bourne to assisted living in Coventry Place in San Francisco. At this point, Ed Walsh was paying all her bills through her checking account. Unbeknownst to us, Teresa had opened a P.O. box prior to her stroke due to mail being stolen at her house. Unfortunately, due to her stroke, she was unable to tell us this. We did not know where her important mail was going. We did not find out this until later, and so we never received her W-2 forms, so we're unable to complete her tax returns. I went to the P.O. box in San Francisco where it was, and I talked to the guy. He says, "Oh, you're not Teresa Bourne. I can't help you." And I also went to the Social Security office on Valencia Street in San Francisco and tried to change the address, but they didn't really seem to trust us because we weren't the person requesting the change of address. It was for my Aunt Teresa Bourne. So Ed Walsh never received any tax documents until 2019 when he paid the bill for 2017 from the Franchise Tax Board. He did the right thing, and he paid it. That's another exhibit. Unfortunately, Teresa passed away in May of 2023, and I was tasked with cleaning up the mess that had been made by her estate. I filed all her back taxes, closed out all existing accounts, arranged for cremation, burial, as per her wishes. This is one of the last items that needs to be done to settle her estate. I began the process in June of 2023 and hired a CPA to file all her back taxes and come out to find out she didn't really owe the $3,468 that was paid by Ed Walsh, but in fact, she owed a refund of $146. So my brother Ed did due diligence in paying their bill that was sent to her address in San Francisco. We acted in good faith. I understand the statute of limitations to refund the money had expired. However, in this case, there were extenuating circumstances. We were unable to file taxes without a W-2 form because we didn't know her mail was going to a P.O. box. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with me, and I understand the emotions behind this, so thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Ho, did you have any questions for Mr. Walsh?
Yes, thank you. One question for Mr. Walsh. Just want to confirm your statement. You and your brother were authorized to handle Ms. Therese Bourne's legal and financial matters under the Therese Bourne 2007 Trust starting from 2016?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Okay, thank you. And I had just one question for you, Mr. Walsh. So I understand your testimony is that you weren't able to file until you obtained the W-2 and other tax documents. Do you know when it was that you were able to obtain that information? An approximate time frame is fine if you don't know with certainty.
Yeah, I didn't. My brother Ed got the tax bill from Franchise Tax Board, like in December of 2019, and then he right away he wrote the check for it, because we didn't have a W-2, so we followed what he got in the mail at our address, and so I don't know when we got the W-2s. I talked to my CPA in June of 2023, and he must have found them, and I filed all the taxes for the IRS in the state of California.
Okay, understood. Thank you. I don't have any additional questions.
Okay.
So what happens next is I'm going to turn it over to Franchise Tax Board for their presentation. They will have 10 minutes, after which you will have 5 minutes to address anything you would like to that was in their statement. Okay, so Ms. Ho, you have 10 minutes and may begin when you are ready.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Vivian Ho. I, along with my co-counsel Maria Brosterhouse, represent respondent, the Franchise Tax Board. The issue in this appeal is whether appellant's claim for refund for tax year 2017 is barred by the statute of limitations. Under the law, FTB can only allow a refund claim if it is filed within any of the following periods: 4 years from the original due date of the tax return, 4 years from the date the return was filed if it was filed timely by the extended due date, or 1 year from the date of overpayment. Appellant's claim for refund was properly denied because it was not filed within any of the statutory periods. Appellant's representative asserts appellant was unable to file her tax return and provided a doctor's letter to establish appellant suffered from dementia until her passing in 2023. Appellant also raises personal difficulties that he faced along with appellant's other representative. As held in the presidential opinion of appeal of the State of Gillespie, there is no reasonable cause or equitable basis for suspending the statute of limitations. While FTB is sympathetic to the situation faced by appellant and her representatives, as held in precedent, neither ill health or any other unfortunate circumstance can extend the statute of limitations for filing a claim for refund. The sole exception to the statute of limitations is tolling due to financial disability, and it is not applicable to this case. In order to establish financial disability tolling, a taxpayer must demonstrate by a doctor's affidavit that they were unable to manage their financial affairs due to a medically determinable physical or mental impairment that is terminal or expected to last a continuous period of not less than 12 months. The taxpayer must also show that there is no legally authorized person to act on their behalf during the period that they are seeking to establish tolling. Appellant does not satisfy these requirements. The doctor's letter appellant's representative provided does not meet the requirements to establish tolling, as it does not include the duration of the financial disability, which is required to establish the tolling period, as held in the appeal of the State of Gillespie. The letter is also not signed under penalties of perjury, and appellant's representative also did not submit Form 1564 as required by FTB procedure. Moreover, appellant does not qualify for financial disability because she had multiple representatives authorized to handle her financial affairs during the period she was incapacitated. As appellant's representative has provided, he was authorized to handle appellant's affairs since 2016, when appellant suffered from health concerns and became incapacitated. As such, there is no period of time in which appellant was financially disabled without a legally authorized representative to handle her financial matters. As such, appellant's claim for refund is barred by the statute of limitations. Unfortunately, the law is firm on this matter. FTB respectfully requests appellant's claim for refund be denied. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ho. I don't have any questions for Franchise Tax Board at this time. So what I can do now is turn it back to you, Mr. Walsh, for a final rebuttal or closing statement. You have up to 5 minutes.
I understand the statute of limitations to refund the money has expired. However, in this case, there were extenuating circumstances. We were unable to file her taxes without a W-2 form. That's the core issue, is what I'm presenting today. We just ask for consideration of maybe getting part of our money back that my brother paid in good faith. In good faith, he paid it when we got the bill from Franchise Tax Board. But I understand it's the limitations. So we did our best, and it's very hard when we didn't have our W-2 forms. So I'm a really good citizen. We would have filed them if we had them. You know, that's a basic premise here. And you go to the post office, you're not Teresa Bourne. We don't know who you are. There's so much fraud in this world that it's very, very difficult to obtain somebody else's W-2 forms. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. I know this is challenging, and I've heard what you said, and I understand what you've said, so thank you very much. Okay, I don't have any additional questions for either party, so unless there was something else that either party would like to quickly address, I believe we're ready to conclude the hearing. Okay. So thank you again, both parties, for being here. Sorry, I'm finding my notes. I'd like to thank you both for your presentations today. I will decide this case based on the argument and evidence that has been presented to me in this appeal. I will issue an opinion no later than 100 days from today. This case is now submitted and the record is now closed. Our next hearing for today is virtual and should begin at approximately 1 p.m. Thank you both for attending.
Thank you.